Imagine leaving a friend's house one March morning thinking only of your journey ahead and never returning alive. That was the fate of George Saunders, a wealthy London merchant whose brutal killing near Shooters Hill in Kent shocked Elizabethan England. This wasn't a highwayman's chance strike, it was deliberate, carefully planned. And as the truth unfolded, it seemed that those responsible included not just strangers, but someone far closer to him than anyone could have guessed. I'm Claire Ridgway, historian and author, and today in my Tudor true crime series, we're delving into the 1573 murder that became so infamous it inspired ballads, pamphlets, and even a stage play, the brutal killing of George Saunders. It was Wednesday the 25th of March 1573. George Saunders had spent the night in Woolwich, staying with a man named Mr. Barnes. The next morning he set out for St Mary Cray, accompanied by Barnes's servant John Beane. Near Shooters Hill, their path was blocked by Captain George Brown, a professional soldier. Brown attacked, killing Saunders on the roadside, and he struck down Beane too, leaving him for dead. But Beane survived. Badly wounded, he staggered back to Woolwich and raised the alarm. News raced through Kent and London. George Saunders, a respected citizen, had been murdered in cold blood. The very next day, the Privy Council at Greenwich issued urgent orders. They already had a suspect, Captain George Brown. Within 3 days, Brown was tracked down and arrested at Rochester. Under questioning, he confessed to the killing. But what emerged was more than a simple confession. Brown had not acted blindly. He'd been told exactly where Saunders would be and when. That information had been passed to him in a letter from a widow named Anne Drury. When the deed was done, Brown sent word back through Drury's servant Roger Clement, confirming the crime had been carried out. Later, this case made it onto the Elizabethan stage in the play A Warning for Fair Women, 1599. The playwright turned Saunders' murder into a tale of suspense and detection. In the play, the wounded John Beane describes the attacker as a man in a white doublet and blue breeches. Suspicion grows when Master James, a gentleman drinking with Brown, notices bloodstains on his hose. And a waterman testifies that he rowed Brown upriver, noting both his bloody clothes and his silken breeches. All of these clues converge and Brown is identified and captured. It's dramatic, theatrical, and designed to thrill an audience, but it mirrors the speed and certainty with which the real Captain Brown was caught. He was arraigned in April and condemned. On the 20th of April 1573, he was executed at Smithfield. But before his death, he revealed something else. That Anne Drury had promised him a rich reward, the chance of a marriage once Saunders was gone. Not a marriage to her, but a marriage to someone whose identity shocked everyone who heard it. Drury herself was arrested along with her servant Clement. Both were condemned in early May. But then there was Brown's shocking confession. If what he said was true, someone far closer to Saunders had been part of the plot. The marriage Brown had been promised was to Anne Saunders, the murdered man's wife. Yes, George Saunders' own wife was implicated in his killing. She'd been romantically involved with Brown behind her husband's back. Arrested, held in the Tower, and after giving birth to a child there, she too faced trial. On the 13th of May 1573, less than 2 months after her husband's death, Anne Saunders mounted the scaffold at Smithfield, executed alongside Anne Drury and Roger Clement. All three confessed. And as if the story wasn't already sensational enough, there was another bizarre twist. George Mell, a minister tasked with offering spiritual comfort to condemned prisoners, became infatuated with Anne Saunders. He begged her to conceal her guilt, even trying to persuade Drury to take all the blame. but the authorities soon saw through him. Mel was imprisoned in Newgate for his lewd practices with Saunders' wife. Eventually, he was released into the care of the Bishop of London. But his strange lovesick role only added another layer of scandal to the whole affair. So why did the murder of George Saunders capture the Elizabethan imagination more than so many other killings? Well, there was social standing. Saunders wasn't an obscure victim. He was well connected and related to high-ranking legal figures and London families. Then, sensational ingredients: adultery, an ambush on a country road, female accomplices, and even a clergyman hopelessly in love with the guilty wife. And then there's the paper trail. Unlike many crimes, this one left a rich record. Privy Council orders, county records, sensational pamphlets, a sorrowful ballad, and finally a full-length play. All of this meant the story lived on, not just as gossip, but as a cultural phenomenon. In the end, 4 people died for the murder of George Saunders. Captain Brown, the killer, Anne Drury, the go-between, Roger Clement, her servant, and Anne Saunders, the victim's own wife. A conspiracy born of lust, ambition and betrayal turned into one of the most talked about crimes of Elizabethan England. And like so many Tudor tragedies, it played out not only in life, but in print and on stage, ensuring that the cruel murder done in Kent would never be forgotten. If you enjoy Tudor true crime stories like this one, don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell for more dark tales from history. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.